بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا وأنت تجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. We welcome all of you to another edition of our life stories that we've been having during this Black History Month with brothers and sisters who attend our gatherings, who attend our sessions, those beloved ones whom we've known for years. And we wanted to have an opportunity, for them to share their stories, to benefit from their stories, to see their outlooks on all of the things we talk about. And it's just a nice perspective, an easy, relaxing conversation, and a way for you to get to know the people you see every morning, every week, whether it's on the post-Fajr reflections, whether you see them on Imam's Roundtable, or different subjects, discussions and panels that we may have. These are our brothers and sisters in Islam that we love. And, mashallah, we wanted to hear from them. Those who had the inspiration to talk, we wanted to talk to them. So today, as I was thinking about guest speakers and people to have on, I was in the masjid, extremely exhausted, and Brother Isa walks in. I said, MashaAllah, Allah don't want me to do Juma. So Dua Habibi, it's your turn. And, he was like a straight Scottie Pippen, Jordan throwing the pass and he just handled it. Got on that minbar and looked like he was a straight natural. So I want to thank you for giving me a break today because I needed it, And while I was taking one break, I said, guess what? I can get 2 breaks out of this. Yo, come on the show tonight and let's have a wrap. So I thank you definitely for stepping in and bailing me out today. And may Allah reward you greatly.
Yeah.
And it was a very inspiring talk. So it could be the basis of a lot of our conversation. So inshallah, what I want to ask you to do today is, so if you need a khatib, a guest khatib at your masjid, and you're in the South Jersey, Pennsylvania, New York, Delaware, DC area, I think those are within traveling distance. I recommend our brother Asa Bey because he be putting it down. You want an inspiring speech. If you can move a bunch of immigrants, I know what you're going to do to the brothers. May Allah reward you. Alhamdulillah. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Sayyidi Isa, and your background, and take a few minutes to feel free to you think we have enough to know about you, inshallah. Barakallahu bikum. Tafaddal.
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi sallam. Assalamu alaikum. First, Imam, I wanted to I have a guest I want to have come sit with me today. It's a little bit of a surprise for you, inshallah ta'ala. Somebody that's been, hasn't seen you in a while.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
She's from our area, man.
Yeah.
How are you feeling? You good?
I'm good.
You gonna do something nice for us today too? Some good title or something. I know you got something in the bag you gonna share, right?
I was just gonna listen.
You're just gonna listen. All right. Well, something you want to share with us, So we got a nice nasheed or something nice, some Quran or something before this is over. All right. So think about it. All right, brother.
This ain't like them days when she was much smaller and you get her on the spot and she'll do it for you. They get older, they don't want to do nothing now. Bismillah. Salatu salam ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sallam. Assalamu alaikum. Like the Imam said, Issa Bey, Camden, New Jersey. I was born and raised in Camden. attended Masjid Noor Islamic Learning Center. It's right on Mechanic Street, actually around the corner from Kuba School. My family, my father and my mother, both raised us as Muslim. They came out of the Nation of Islam. My father came from all the, you name the Islamic movements, his father and them had him in it. He was never a Christian. He came out of the Moorish Science Temple. They came in the Nation of Islam, and then to Ahl Sunnah. He came into the Jamaat of Imam Wardi Muhammad. May Allah have mercy upon him. Coming from that city, we were directly under the tutelage of Imam Radi Abdullah, my beloved, one of my first shuyukh, first teachers. And then right with him, I was actually introduced to Imam Qairi rahimahullah. Imam Qairi rahimahullah was my second sheikh, and I was with him every week, pretty much every week. I would talk to him almost every day. He lived in Philadelphia, so he was right next to me on the bridge. He would stop in to see me, and then as a matter of fact, he made me do my first khutbah at Masjid Muhammad when I was about I think about 19 or 20, something like that, 21, something like that. But so in Camden now, the position I serve is I'm the assistant imam at Kuba School and Islamic Center with our dear Imam of the Boom Bap, Imam Fahim Lee. Shout out to him. Assalamu alaikum. Shout out to the Kuba family. Now, my transition there, first I was assistant imam at Masjid Noor for a little bit. My transition there was basically due to my experience with the youth. I was a residential counselor since very young age. I started around like 19 years old as a residential counselor working for different facilities in Camden and Burlington County. The people at these facilities, what you call adjudicated youths, people, you could be in trouble or you could very well just need a good place to stay. So we worked from different facilities such as shelters and then last stop facilities, where last stop before the judge sends you off to prison. One thing that got me into this field was my brother, may Allah have mercy on him, my brother Mu'min Bey, who passed away. He left us about 3-4 years ago. Allah have mercy upon him. And he was very inspirational. He was a psychology major, and he started with the company in Camden known as Center for Family Services and got us involved actually very young at age. And that's one thing that it actually connects, because coming up in Masjid Noor, we were always connected with the youth. And that's one thing I want to start with, talking about the community Wardi Muhammad. May Allah have mercy upon him. And our Imam Radi. In our community, I used to be a part of going with Imam Radi and Imam Qairi. I used to go with them to all the imams meetings. So you're talking imams from as far as way as New York down to Maryland. They would have their meetings at least once a month. And also with that, they had lots of programs for us. So they used to keep us busy. So as much time as, a lot of our kids, they have a lot of time on their hands in which they can get into things that might not be, beneficial for them. And we see it, from kids going into youth prisons and going right into adult prisons. Our community kept us busy. Our sisters and brothers worked very, very hard. Our pioneers, they maintain it. That's one thing I can appreciate about the community, is that we maintain youth conferences for general Islamic community. They would charter a bus in a heartbeat. So you would always have something to do every week, every summer, every spring, every winter. There was no sitting around being lackadaisical. I remember driving to Chicago. That was the first time I've been there. We hopped on they chartered a big bus. It just pulled up in front of the masjid and we all hopped on. I got a lot of pictures. It was snow covered out there, but we wouldn't miss a convention. When the convention would come to Philly, Imam Radi would be, maybe the opener for dua and things of that nature for the events. I was able to sit with and meet Imam Wardi Muhammad on a few occasions, and listen to him. And I can tell you, it's something about people who've seen a lot. He had a keen insight for what was needed in our community. And along with the economical things that he produced or he promoted, he also promoted learning. And he wanted us to gain a nice stronghold on this deen, and not just become people who rely on just his word or his thought. He wanted us to gain a stronghold and be able to keep this up when he was gone. So I continued to my education with my imams, studied with a few different teachers here and there. Actually, one thing that blew my mind, we were about 15 years old, and you put on you were part of the program Imam Khairi rahimahullah had put on the program in Masjid Muhammad, and you did an introduction into the science of hadith, and it was mind blowing. You know, we thought we knew something, you know, memorizing a few hadith and memorizing some Quran, but when we were introduced to the science of these things, it was very eye opening. We also did a program where we traveled. I'm not sure if you were at that one, where we traveled to Delaware with Imam Mikhail from Philadelphia, and he got it was like a military park reserve or something like that. Imam Luqman was there. We did Arabic courses with Imam Luqman, and that's one thing
That's where I met Imam Luqman during those retreats. They would give each of us I did Sirah one time.
Yeah.
Ulum al-Hadith one time. I did some other things. That's where I met Imam Luqman.
Yeah, I remember that. I was there. You know, I'm a young guy, and one thing I've always appreciated is, you know, Allah's mercy and having us be around people who kept us busy. And I think that's one of the things that we're missing today is where, you know, we're not implementing things that keep the attention of our youth. I'll give you something that we end up doing with our children. We were blessed by Allah's mercy, introduced through, you know, mutual friends, as well as you, to the community with Imam with Sheikh Yahya. So, you know, we would go on those summer retreats and sit with you and go through books. These are things that I grew to love. And my children would be front row. You know that my children, my family, front row with me. I want them to have their own connection, their own love, their love and connection with Allah and His Messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's so important. A lot of times, and I learned something. I remember Imam Khalil Abdullahi, he had from Philadelphia, he had put up a post, and he was talking about the regret he had of not taking his children or his sons with him to a lot of the things he participated in, and the wisdom that he had. And he encouraged us to, you know, make sure you have your children with you and your family with you whenever you do something. So whenever we put on a program, Imam Khalil comes over to Masjid al-Nur. He's got his whole squad with him. You know, that the Masjid Uthman Danfodio, they roll deep. He can't bring all the kids, but he got the whole squad. But alhamdulillah, that support is something that we've always been attracted to and has been very helpful in our rearing. So on to the next portion of my life. I got married at 24 years old to somebody from your community. And that's where we got this beautiful little gym right here, alhamdulillah. And
you took her from me.
MashaAllah. She used to always say, "Where's Imam Amin? I miss him. Where's Imam Amin?" Little teeny girl. Where's Imam Amin? I miss him. Alhamdulillah. So, you know, Imam Khairi rahimahullah, while he was still here, he threw me in the prisons. Actually, the first person he had me interview actually in the prisons. But the first person to bring me to the prison to do khutbah was Sheikh Mujahid Salam. Sheikh Mujahid, he seen me at Masjid al-Nur. He came and visited us one day for Jummah, and he walked out and he looked right at me. He said, "I know you." I'm like, I ain't never met this guy before in my life. He looked at me. He knew me from my brother. And so he told me, he said, "Come with me." Just like that. Brought me into Yardville Garden State Youth Correctional Facility. And, you know, that was it. You know, so I was giving khutbah in different masjids and in the prison. That was my thing. The prison was my thing because of the connection that I had with the youth. It was a youth correctional facility, but they were 19 and old, 18 and older. But a lot of these guys, man, they were like babies, man. Like, you know, they just got caught up in something, in a whirlwind of chasing money or chasing, you know, street things. And they were babies. Very genuinely, I met some great brothers in there, good people. And a lot of them are with us today. They come to the masjid, they partake, they take part in the community. They are instrumental in a lot of things that we do. You know, so I kind of, you know, slowed down on giving khutbah in the prison. You know, it's been a while since I've done that, but in that time, I've been, you know, basically just keeping myself busy now, trying to keep my family busy, keep them educated. Sometimes I get the privilege of sitting with you and going through some books, and I could tell everybody. I was having a conversation with Abu Isa after his he did the program with you. I said, Imam Amin is a stickler for like memorizing. Memorize. And you know that if you're going to be like a student with him, then you can see the results of it, because you see a lot of people who've gone very far in their life with this deen and with this knowledge, and may Allah Ta'ala continue to bless them. I mean, now, I guess I kind of want to continue to have this conversation about, my strength is I like to talk about the youth, what we can do for them, how we can progress things. Because I was that kid. I'm the youngest of 5. I was the little runt, running around behind his brother and his brothers and his sister, trying to see what they were doing. And I was encouraged by them. And it was, believe it or not, it was, my desire to learn this deen came from my eldest brother, from him being incarcerated. Like I said, some of the best people I know incarcerated, and he was actually incarcerated with Imam Mujahid. And I told Imam Mujahid like a couple months ago, I said, you're talking about 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago, 25 years ago. I still have the mushaf that he gifted to my brother in Garden State Correctional Facility, and my brother gifted it to me for Eid. You're talking, I still read from that same mushaf almost every day or whenever I can, but that's the mushaf I read from. And stuff like that, it really stuck with me, and so basically I'm here as a servant, inshallah ta'ala. I want to, what it is I can do. Like I said, I was raised in a very privileged home. We were raised in the same city as everybody else, but I tell you what, education was pushed, education was exemplified, and it was something that I think if everybody had a little bit of, it would go a long way for people. And you see that from the encouragement of people. They are naturally good people. And when they find themselves in certain situations, you see how their life is turned around when they actually have a catalyst in their life that is inspiring. So inshallah ta'ala, that's my dream, is to continue, my wife and I, we continue to try to do things in our community for the youth. We all, serve the community, whether on the board, giving khutbah. I don't like to do much, but you got to do. I remember you told me, you said, if it's something that has to be done and you can do it and nobody else is qualified, if you don't do it, then it's blameworthy on you. So, I realize I have to step up. And a lot of our people, we have some people who are very educated, like you said, much more educated than myself. They have a reluctancy to step up, so they're reluctant to step up, and we want to be encouraging to those type of people, because the thing is, we have these conversations about, man, time is ticking. Time is ticking. Who's going to take over? Who's going to take, who's going to grab hold of the banner and continue this struggle? When I was sitting my days with Imam Khairi rahimahullah and learning with him, and I used to go to his house and everything. I never thought he would be gone that next day. Like, I remember that Eid, he didn't show up. We were in Willingboro, New Jersey. I remember. And I asked his wife, Sister Shirley, I said, where's Imam Khairi? She said, your friend is very sick. And I said, man, I called him. And he was just, and that was the last time I spoke to him. And, and then alhamdulillah, Allah blessed us with, for you to step up. And we have Imam Fahim in our community. I mean, we have people that are on the ground putting in the work. And we don't have enough people here to support them. So one message I do want to get out to our people, and I'm going to sound a little harsh with this one, but one thing if you know me, I'm real. We have too many people crying about what the imams and our leaders are not doing, as opposed to what is it I am doing or not doing to support them. Just imagine it. If you have a masjid, let's just say you have a masjid with 10 members, 20 members. Now, our masajids, we have 100 members, 200 members, 300. Imam Suleiman got 1,000 people coming to Jummah and all that down in Atlanta. Imagine everybody wants to get their point of view across to the imam. Everybody wants the imam to hear them. Everybody has an opinion. It is impossible for the imam to please everybody. Impossible. And then you have to look at the weight and gravity of the position that they hold. Listen, I'll help out Imam Fahim, inshallah ta'ala, until the day I die. I'll be here to support him. I'm not chasing no position, because that's a hard job to have. All we do is we see them get up at the minbar, and we don't see them taking the phone calls in the middle of the night. We don't see them dealing with marriage issues and people and fights in the community, and we don't see all these things. So when it comes time to give a couple dollars, we all clenching our purses, thinking that the imams are living lavishly off of us or something. I don't understand that concept. Like I said, being involved in the community, I think, makes the difference, so that you have an understanding about what's going on. We're not sensitive enough to the plight of others because we haven't walked their path. So that's one thing. Being witness to what other people go through is led me to be very sensitive.
Okay, we'll you've sparked already the conversation, so I don't even have to ask no questions. See, I knew if I had our brother Issa, this is gonna be a smooth, easy night, right? And here it is. So your first question was related to what you talked about. You said,
Okay.
Imam Issa, do you feel marrying at a young age in the African American Muslim community gets its proper intention?
Okay. I'm gonna say this. The past few nikah we have been to, I have seen, I can count on my hand the amount of youth that have been there. So it's almost like, no, we're not giving it the proper attention. We have a few people, few of the select people who have the desire to get married, and they do get married at a young age. But what we're not doing is we're not displaying it to the people who are right behind them. We're canceling them out. It basically becomes an event with a bunch of, not to be offensive, a bunch of us older people. You know, I'm married. I don't need to see another nikah. I'm happy for people. Don't get me wrong. I'd rather our children get the experiences. I'd rather our children get to dress up and see the beauty of it. You know, it's not pushed enough as far as the attention that we talk about it, but do we educate our children on what's real about marriage? What's it going to be like? You know, this whole, fantasy of everything's going to be peaches and creams. And my daughter will tell you, we have real conversations. I don't sugarcoat anything. I don't. And a lot of our children, they become just big children physically, and their mentality has never been challenged or nurtured. So what happens is that's why we get a lot of divorce with our marriages. So people are, we're getting married, but we're getting married because sometimes it's, we just told we need to get married, and sometimes we want to satisfy our natural urges or things of that nature, but we don't go into it with good education.
Well, I don't know. You might be in a line because already you got proposals for marriage. So I don't know. Have you have a wife, Imam Issa? I mean, she might be looking. I don't know.
Alhamdulillah. You know what? That's my wife right there.
She's cracking up.
Look, my daughter. Look, you should have saw her face though. She probably was like, "What?" My daughter like, She like, "I barely get to see you now. I ain't sharing you with nobody."
You gotta have a sense of humor. Mashallah. That's called, hey ladies, he's taking.
Tell that sister I got 3 slots open.
Okay. You talked about your father and imams taking the young brothers along. What programs can you suggest for Masajid to attract more youth?
Okay, I'm gonna give you a quick story, and I like this question. When my father passed away, rahimahullah, 2017, there were people that showed up to his janazah. Really, I never met, my life. My father was 40 years older than me, pretty much. So there were people that are 30 years older than me, something like that. There were people I never met, and they were telling me stories. Yeah, I remember your dad used to rent vans and all this and take us to this park and that park, take us to natural. He used to take them to Crystal Cave. I remember going there as a little kid in the 80s, going to Crystal Cave, seeing the stalagmites, stalactites. And
what's
I didn't know. Crystal Cave is it's in, I forget what city it is in Pennsylvania, but Crystal Cave has natural formations of rock and what do you call it? Stalagmites, stalactites, things of this nature, different natural rocks. It's a beautiful looking place. That's one of the things that I think we should, take our youth on. So another example is, and they were giving me stories about my father. Now, if you knew my father was a very strong man, very strong, silent type. I didn't know he was that much fun, and everybody's telling me, oh man, your dad used to take us to the drive-in movie theater, my mom and dad, take them all, put them in the Ford LTD wagon. You know what I mean? Everybody pile in. Camden had the first drive-in movie theater, so everybody used to go there. So, and they talk about those trips. And then on top of that, when they couldn't afford that, my father used to put a projector on, and he used to put in all the Bruce Lee movies in the house, and then let all the neighborhood kids come in. And he would, because I remember when I was young, he used to tell my mom, always cook a little bit more food. Somebody's gonna come by, and somebody used to come by, yeah. So, but that takes me to ideas, right? I'm gonna give you, first of all, I'm gonna give you the things that we did. And I'll tell you, Imam Radi's wife, Sister Carolyn, she used to make sure we were busy. This sister used to drive us to the Poconos. I'm talking vans. Her, sister Tanya, all the adults, we go into the Poconos, we're going skiing. They kept us so busy. And then the Girl Scout troops, her and a bunch of other sisters, they used to drive them all over the country. I'm talking, they're going as far as Texas, I do believe. They kept them busy. So, these are things that in which when we look back in hindsight, we know we didn't have any excuse as far as what would attract us to the masjid. So when you look at ideas, we got to keep to, of course, some of these sunnah things. I give you one my daughter's looking forward to, horseback riding, right? We got to teach our kids horseback riding. We go to McCall's summer retreat. They're doing archery. We're doing basketball. My boys and I, we played with Mahmoud Abdul Rauf. We did all these beautiful, wonderful things, and they enjoyed the classroom lectures as well. So my daughter, I used to take her skating since she was little. Go ahead.
Was your boys there when I came out of retirement and took
I don't know.
of the retreat?
That was the which retreat was that? Because me and Sheikh Yahya won it the last year we was there.
It was, I don't know which year, but Sheikh Yahya had got served by the young boys, and I was like, he said, Imam, I need you to come and play the game. I'm like, man, I ain't played basketball in 20-something years.
I know.
That championship.
Me and Sheikh Yahya won that championship the last year. I shot the winning shot in my son's face too. I'm about to brag about that one. I can't do it now. He's about 6'2" now. I can't get with him now. But yeah, we won that game big time. Alhamdulillah.
No.
But so these are things that attract the kids, and my kids look forward to that summer retreat. You of all people know how it is there. They love their time with their shuyukh. It's not like they just don't want to study. No, they want to study. They want to do all this stuff. So we got to get back to, I like those things, the activities we do at the summer retreat, the basketball leagues, the tournaments, the archery. We got to stop leaving our girls out too. We can't be so rigid that our girls think they can't have fun. We know very well that the Prophet ﷺ ran in public with his wife Aisha. And I like the way, I think it was Sheikh Imran put it. He said, that's an example of our girls should be doing these athletic activities. He said, and as far as them not being looked at, he said, shame on you for looking at another man's wife or his daughter. Don't look. Let them go have their fun. So there's lots of things that we can do. I think we need to get with the archery. We need to get to the gun range, all these halal things that we're in a country that permits this stuff. Horseback riding. We got to stay with the skating, the ice skating, all the things. I used to take my kids flying kites, you name it. Whatever it was, I try to keep them busy.
Okay. Sheikhuna Maulana Habib Robinson, Mufti Philadelphia. He says, being an imam and assistant imam, what are the upside of it as well as some of the challenges for you?
The upside is I feel as though I'm in a position to be helpful to a person who I know has a ton of stuff on their shoulders. To me, I've always looked to, lessen the burden of somebody. That's something I inherited from my mother and father. If you can lessen the burden of somebody, alhamdulillah, that's a beautiful thing. So being there for him, when a lot of people are not there for him, when people want to, when people tend to not be sensitive to what's going on in their condition. So that's an upside for me, just being able to help people in general. Challenges, our people are hard-headed, man. I love our people. Our people are very, we're very open, but at the same time, we put up a wall until we have certain levels of comfort. And what I want to say to people is, I don't do what I do because I trust everybody or distrust everybody. I do what I do because I trust the law. And if you put that in, and I think if you use that as your guide, it doesn't mean you're a dupe and you're just going to do anything. But no, you do your research on people, and you find out where you're going to help, and then you put your all into it. You put your all into it. And to me, that's a challenge of trying to take our people from being, or help our people to understand that we shouldn't be entertained so much, that we should be a part of the solution to our issues, and to stop waiting for somebody else to do it for us. We don't want to follow in that Christian mentality of my pastor, meaning you think that your pastor's intelligence or knowledge of deen is going to be the means for your salvation. No, you gotta get out there, and Allah Ta'ala gives that instruction to us all. We are all imams in our homes. We're all imams according to the responsibility that Allah Ta'ala has given us, and we all supposed to save ourselves and save our families.
It's similar to that question. He said, as an assistant imam, what are some of your duties unique to the position of assistant imam?
You know what? I guess in our position, I get to be a little bit of a buffer for the imam, or I try to be. Imam Fahim like spreads itself so thin with people. I kind of take it upon myself to be like that. I'm his little brother, but that big brother that wants to watch out for him, because people tend to take advantage of that. You know, they tend to see him and expect, you know, that term we use, free sabilillah. They expect everything the imam that he does to not be taken care of. And me, someone who's privy to all, not all, but to majority of the things that are his responsibilities, I see that he needs somebody to have his back. It's basically like having a manager. I remember you told us one time, somebody had called for one of our brothers to go speak publicly somewhere, and you said, have him call me. You said, have him call me. I'll take care of it for you because I know you. You know, I know you. You know, and I've had people in that situation with me. They say, Issa, listen, you know, make sure you demand what you're supposed to demand and don't be so nice. And you need people to have your back like that. So to me, that's unique to the position of assistant imam. Is you're supposed to have his back. You know, you're supposed to have the community's back. If you can't have the imam's back, I don't know how you're going to have the community's back. It's not going to happen. You know, you have to be able to take your personal self out of it and realize that people are going to come to you from all sorts of, all sorts of things we hear. You know, that's one of the reasons I kind of left the counseling, is because it's a very tough thing to do. I was having a conversation with my daughter earlier, and she was talking about being a therapist. And I'm like, you know, I'm not trying to get her away from it. I said, just be mindful. You have to pace yourself in it because it's a very, very tough thing to do, taking on other people's burdens. And I remember when Imam Qareed, rahimahullah, when he saw one of his physicians, he flew out to California. I don't know if you remember that, right before he passed away. And one of those naturalist physicians told him, he said, man, you got a lot, like it's a lot heavy on you. It's a lot going on here. You're taking on, in that position of an imam, you're taking on a lot of people's burdens. And I've seen it. And I was raised in it. I've seen Imam Radi, may Allah preserve him, Imam Qareed, rahimahullah. I've seen it with you. I've seen the stress that it does to your body. I remember when you got ill. These are some of the things in this position that makes you more sensitive. And the same thing happened with Sheikh Yahya. I see it when you take on so much of the community.
Okay. There's a statement in question said, I'm for, this is from YouTube, I'm all for romanticism, but in this day and age, wouldn't the youngster be better served by learning how to drive and shooting on the range?
Actually, you know what?
Now, real quick. Now let me start.
No. Put the question back up. Let me look at that.
Oh man, right?
Okay.
Learning how to drive. You know, you got other things you want to do, but what about
I get it.
These matters? Yeah. I
get it. And that's what I'm saying. These are what happens is if you're trying to spark this up at a one-time thing and trying to get them, the same thing with your Islamic education. If you're trying to spring this on somebody and make them attracted to it very quickly, then you're not going to get that many people. If you make it a part of their upbringing, it becomes their second nature. When you look at all these pictures they post of Caucasian Americans with their children and they're shooting guns and they're hunting, this is something that they're raised in. Their children are very well versed in knowing how to handle guns and knowing how to drive. They learn this from a young age. That's why I say this is something, it's more important to implement it as a whole in our community, as opposed to just targeting a few people. It's good. I mean, you do what you can by targeting a few of our youth, but you still have to implement it as a system because we want our kids to be proficient in all these things. Same thing with education. Yeah, you can go after a few and grab a few, but if you have a solid education plan as far as your deen, as far as the dunya, then your children are going to naturally grow into things and they're going to understand how the world works.
Since you've been Muslim all your life, what is a bit of advice to extend our Muslim community beyond the doors of the masajid? So basically, community involvement. What is ways to extend that?
One thing I try to do is when I have conversation with the youth is, or people in general, is, you know, you have to realize that everything is not on you, but your part. So if you have a small portion, I remember we sat with Sheikh Imaduddin, may Allah have mercy on him. And we were actually with the Jamaat. We were in Voorhees, New Jersey, and he said to them with the Tablighi Jamaat, he said everybody has a part to do. So if you maintain your part, and if everybody plays a small part, the collective will be much easier. I'll give you an example. There's 30 days in a month, roughly, correct? 30 days in a month. If your community is just 60 people deep or 100 people, whatever, all you need to every day provide food to the homeless is to volunteer once a month when you have 30 people. One day a month, and we can have food and we can feed the whole community every day. Just imagine that. 30 people in the masjid, everybody volunteer one day out of the month. So the burden is not on you to say, oh man, I got 2 weeks in a row, or I got it. It's not like you're at work. No, it becomes a privilege because you know you're doing it once, and then Allah Ta'ala is giving you a reward that may be, immensely greater. So that right there to me is the key to progressing or to getting our people to maintain their connection to the masjid. And in that way, it'll transfer into everything else you do. Same thing you do. You want to save $1,000, you got to start with $1. So if you maintain a small connection and you do your part, inshallah ta'ala, you'll help build something great. And then what happens is when you raise your children in that, again, you raise them in that. This is something that's second nature, and they'll take it to each and everything that they do.
This is from Abdul Qadir. Abdul Qadir, excuse me for missing some of your calls. I've been sleeping a lot lately. Everybody say open up your eyes, so I've been trying to get some sleep. So when I miss your calls, I'm sleeping. Subhanallah. What are your thoughts about a Quran school, strictly Quran? Will you be willing to help, assist, participate, build one?
Alhamdulillah, listen, that right there, I'm going to tell you why that's so important. And I don't mean to be mean. But we have a lot of people that don't know how to recite the Quran. I'm not saying any of us are experts in it, but man, we can pass, but a lot of us, we don't know, or we don't appreciate, and we don't, have a desire for ourselves. So we should at least, inshallah ta'ala, have a desire for our children. So yeah, I'm all Quran school. I think it could be a Quran school and then have other elements to it as well, because it'll provide more coverage. But just having Quran school, I enjoyed. Listen, I think it's good for our youth. I enjoy the fact this kid right here, she knows more Quran than me. She recites better than me. And I told Imam Amin about that dream I had. You remember that dream I told you about, Imam? And that I'll tell everybody that dream. Seriously, it was real. We were in the masjid, and Sheikh Samir was sitting with Imam Amin in the masjid. And Sheikh Samir looked at us, and he called me up. And I came up, and he told me to recite something. And I recited, and he stopped me like, and he said, do it again. And I recited, and he stopped me again. And he said, do it again. And I recited, and he stopped me again. And then he seen my daughter, and he called her forward. And she recited, Wallahi. And he was in such joy. You see her face. But no, listen, that's needed, man. One day we were sitting reading the Mus'haf after Fajr. My daughter will tell you. And I was reading. And what'd you do? She stopped me, and she said, this is the first time. She had to be about maybe 10, something like that. And I was reading from the Mus'haf. And I recited, and she said, Dad. I said, yeah. She said, you made a mistake here, 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 and there. And she corrected me. And then she's just sitting there with her hands like this. I'm like, what's wrong? She said, I never thought I would correct you. I said, subhanAllah, that's to me, that's it. That's where it's at. You know what I mean? I get nervous leading the salat now. I'm like, oh, but then I realized, I got my kids behind me. If I mess up, they got my back. Alhamdulillah. So yeah, I'm with it, Abdul Qadir. Listen, I'm there, bro. We talked about, we got a building next door. We talked to Nuh before, Al-Qura Academy. Respect the Hamza Nuh.
Yeah. And speaking, make dua for Sheikh Nuh. We need to do better in supporting our people that are overseas and studying, because he's doing a lot of work with not a lot of support. So inshallah, maybe, in fact, I'm glad you mentioned I got to pull him in one day. He's in Lebanon with some of our teachers and from Syria, and he's in a great environment, and he's working just on Quran, right?
Yeah.
And those people, mashallah, they are very good in Quran and the sciences, and they spend a lot of time. And he left from Yemen to there to be with them. So mashallah, we have high hopes and expectations for Sidi Noah when he comes back, inshallah. Allah facilitate it. Wait a minute, there is a question. Okay, here.
What you got?
That sister that's looking for a husband said, so how do you get the community on the same accord? We seem so divided and disorganized. How do we get us all to get on the same page and build up our communities?
All right. One of the first things I'm gonna say about that is we have to be real about our condition of our mentality. We have this mentality, a lot of us, not all of us. We have this mentality that as soon as I find fault with the leadership that I'm a part of, I want to hightail it to another community where the grass is greener, right? We have this mentality. I don't like what the imam said to me. Remember I talked about earlier the fact that the imam got 20, 30, 40, 50, 100, 200, 300 people that all want, different things, different desires. So one of the first things about building a community is you got to be real about what you're doing it for. If you're doing it because you want to be known, because you think you should be the one giving the khutbah, you should be the one getting all the props from people and all this, then you're doing it for the wrong reason. And we don't want you around us. Seriously, we don't, so now once we have that understanding that we do it strictly for Allah Ta'ala, everything, it must penetrate everything that you do, down to your charity, your sadaqah, whatever it is. I do it for Allah Ta'ala's sake, not because I know where every dime's going to be spent. A lot of us get turned around because we end up seeing on the news communities where people mismanage funds. You know what? Somebody mismanaging funds shouldn't stop you from what you're doing. Listen, I'm giving this money fi sabilillah. I'm going to do my research as best as possible to support this community. And when I give this money, and listen, I ain't got nothing to do with what you do after it. I pray you do what's right. But I'm trying to build something for my soul's sake for the hereafter. Imam Khari used to remind us of that, rahimahullah, every Jummah, and send something forth for your soul's sake. And we're forgetting that. So it becomes easy to pull yourself out of a community when you're not satisfied 100%. And it's the same thing, honest to God. To me, it's the same thing in marriages. When you're not satisfied 100%, soon the first time, I'm out. That's the first thing we do. I'm out. And then pretty soon you're going to bounce around every community and everybody going to know who you are. Ain't nobody going to want you to be part of their magic because you're going to be known as somebody to start fitting. Somebody that want to encourage people to leave and whisper. That's the type of person you become. So inshallah ta'ala, to get on the same page, we all got to humble ourselves. We're taught from our teachers that Allah Ta'ala asks us who's going to basically lower themselves before Allah Ta'ala. You got to start lowering yourself. You got to humiliate yourself now before you're humiliated on Yawm al-Qiyam, because we give all these, these things. We put forth all of these fronts of truths, and then on Yawm al-Qiyam, Allah Ta'ala is actually He's going to show us the truth of our deeds. And to me, that's very scary. And I think if we maintain that fear that Allah Ta'ala is going to reveal the reality of what we do, I think that'll help you fly straight.
One of the things, and I say this, I laugh, right? Because people say, especially in the African American community, many of the imams, they're not compensated for their job that in the masjid that sometimes is 2 work days, right? A person work 8 hours. The imam average, if he's an active imam in the African American community, his work day is a minimum of 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. If he's active, minimum. Like if he's checking on the masjid, if he's making sure people's all right, if he's working to get money to support the masjid because the masjid itself doesn't have enough money, right? Yeah. Just that burden of that, and for someone to say, like he's taking the money, it's like an obvious, you're not paying attention at all. You're not even involved, right? And you never think about this, and I think about it all the time, and this is why one of the reasons in our masjid, I made a lot of changes. It made a lot of people angry, but I'm thinking tomorrow, right? Like, what is about when I became the imam, and you just told the story, it was like probably a year we didn't see Imam Kyrie. Maybe once in a blue moon, we saw him. We were basically running the community and didn't know that we were in charge of the community. He was sick.
Mhm.
And I remember this, I never forget. It was like kind of an inspiration way. We used to be talking, me and Imam Wali, and we would be talking, and I would constantly say Imam Kyrie, and I would say Rahimahullah, right? It was before he passed, right before he passed, as if I felt it. And he would say to me, "You mean Hafidhullah?" I'm like, "Yeah, I meant that, slip of the tongue."
Yeah.
Then maybe a month after that, I never forget it. He called us to Philadelphia, me and Imam Wali, and when we walked in, it was me, Imam Wali, and Sheikh Umar. And when we walked in, and I saw him, I was like, "That's why I was saying Rahimahullah, Subhanallah." And he was glowing, but he was like, "I'm not gonna make it." And he lived long enough to give us some instructions. You do this, you doing this, I know you doing this, y'all try to work together, you do this, and we worked it out. But when I immediately became the imam, I realized how much he was under. And I don't tell all those stories, but it used to things I used to be wondering, like, what's going on here, right? And after becoming imam, I realized how hard those who were running the community, how hard they had it.
Yeah.
And I didn't know. Had I known the difficulty that they went through, I would have even done a lot of things different when I became the imam. I was totally unaware. But those people who are in these leadership positions in our communities, man, they're making sacrifices beyond what you could ever imagine. So
Listen,
I told Imam Fahim about this. I was like, you gotta preserve yourself if you're going to be in this long term.
Yeah.
Right? You gotta put something aside so that others, yourself and others, will be able to maintain. Because I've seen in my city multiple, since I've been the imam, multiple masjids close.
Yeah.
Something happens, a fire, something, and they don't have the money to reopen. They don't have the money to continue. Some of them, they can't pay the bills and they just close. Yeah. Alhamdulillah, after 65 years, Masjid Muhammad is still, holding it down. But that's not an easy job. You know what I mean? And like I said, in our city, I know multiple masjids that closed down, African-American masjids, for lack of funding.
Yeah, let me add this too. So I grew up, and like I said, I think being privy to these things, opens the eyes, and it'll bring about a little bit more sensitivity, and I think a little bit more effort from people. We have to be a little bit more transparent too. I sat there with my youth. I was with Imam Radi, when I was like 14 on up. So like I said, I used to see everything that was going on. So you're talking about Imam Radi, never been compensated. He might get a little Eid gift or something like that, but never been compensated. He worked full time. He was an electrical draftsman. He the one, one of the people that encouraged me to become an electrician. And he's doing multiple jobs. And I remember one time he got up at the minbar, he gave a khutbah, and he said, "Listen, I'm getting tired of people walking around here and you see trash and you just walk by and kick it. And you say, oh, the maintenance crew's gonna get it." He said, "Ain't no maintenance crew." He said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "You're the maintenance crew. We don't have no money like that where somebody's taking care of this and you see somebody doing this trash, that's because they're pretty much volunteering to do it." I think we have this preconceived notion about what goes on in the masjid, like it's in the foreign community, like somebody got bread like that, man. But like I said, I've been around those imams who would give the khutbah, right? They would give the khutbah and then they'd be the same one taking out the trash out back. And then it's like you walk by this, you're living in some kind of fantasy world where you feel as though everybody's supposed to do everything for you. Yet when you go home, you want to be the king of the castle and you want people to support you. Yet you're not showing your children and your family any example of actually being supported. So how can you demand support from them at home? Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that's called the first to come, last to go.
Yeah, I just,
and the last one to leave because you got to clean up.
I'm telling you, I've seen it. Listen, I've witnessed it, and I'm like amazed. But our people, listen, it's like when Imam Fahim puts out these calls, you know, he puts out the group text to the community for it could be a janaza, it could be an event. You know, everybody's not going to be able to make it because I'm not able to make it either. You know, I understand it. But God damn, we got to do better than 4 people showing up to a janaza to bury somebody. Come on, man.
No.
Or 3 people to wash a body. Come on, we got to stop. But when it comes time for them, when they want their niqab, they want their counseling, they want their parents or their siblings buried, man, they beating down the imam door. And then I know that's got to be, you know, I know he got to be hearing it from his wife because I hear it from my wife and I don't even do half as much as he does. So that's just to say, y'all, man, get y'all behinds in the mad shit and put your support behind the imam. Stop making excuses. Stop crying. Ain't nobody going to be perfect. Every imam ain't going to kiss you behind. You're not going to agree with him all the time. Me and Fahim don't agree all the time. I'm not a yes man to him. I'm his brother. That's my Sahaba. I got his back. You know what I mean? I got his back. Trust me. In every way we can have somebody's back, I got his back. That's my brother. He ain't perfect. He ain't going to always make you happy, but get your behind in the masjid and just lend some support. God, don't stop crying. Go ahead. I'm sorry, man. I get a little emotional about that.
Imam Al-Abubak said, at least you could give me some bread, right?
Yeah, man, you can't even chip the imam off a couple dollars. Y'all want him to do niqabs, janazas, yo, listen, man. I got to tell this story. Imam Fahim gets this invitation, and I'm sure you get it too from certain groups when they come to put on their conventions in like Philadelphia and stuff, right? It's, you know, a majority of foreign community, right? Okay, I sat right there. They had an imam's breakfast, and we were invited, right? And I'm sitting there, and you know, Sheikh Abu Bakr was there. He represented his community, the African community. And they said to Imam Fahim, "Oh, can we have you at the convention? Oh, you can sit at the table and you can do this, do that." And I'm just sitting there, and Fahim is like, "Oh yeah, you know, he's the nicest dude in the world, man. Oh yeah." And I wanted to step in. I told Fahim, "Listen, you got to stop setting your own schedule. You need a secretary or somebody because you're too nice. They will take advantage of you, knowing very well this man is out here. Y'all see him out here selling pies and puddings. Come on, man. You think he's making $1 million out here selling pies and puddings? He's trying to take care of his family, and people take advantage of this full time. They want him to do everything and spread itself very thin."
Hey, what are some key ways for the people to support the imam? Do you think that as a people, we lack understanding of the concept of support of leader or leadership?
You know what? I remember a conversation you and I had about this. I'll let you, you know, shed a little bit more light on this, but it has to do with, again, education. I remember you said to us, if our people truly understood the position of an imam, you said, say, for example, your imam came through and said, "Listen, this week we're not eating chicken." Everybody go, "Oh, up in arms. Why can't we eat chicken? I love some chicken." Imam, what's going on? The imam might have some knowledge, some information that we shouldn't be eating chicken for that. You know what I mean? And he's like, "Yo, listen, I just need everybody to flow with me and work with me. We can get a lot of things done if you follow leadership." You look at the military. We're not saying everything they do, but you know, some of us have been a part of the military, and you know very well when it comes to leadership in the military, if you don't follow what they tell you to do, my boy used to always tell me, you get the whole platoon killed out there. It's very important. So we have to be, and that's something drilled into you in the military. Our dear brother Abu Isa, he knows very well. You know, it's drilled into you to understand the concept of fellowship, not just leadership, fellowship. Some of us don't have no idea how to be good followers. So some of the key ways to support the imam, first and foremost, call the imam every day. Call him, ask him, "You need something? What can I take from you? What can I do?" Yeah, I didn't want to give the khutbah today, but you said you gave me this look.
You didn't have a choice.
It was funny because
you and I said, yes.
I walked by you and you like talking with somebody, trying to give you one of them and just keep it moving. You was like, "Ah," and I was like, "Ah." But you know what? You know what's funny? Before I walked in there, wallahi adim, and I told my daughter this. I said, and I told my wife, I said, I looked over my notes before I even walked in. I looked over my notes. Imam Kari used to have this saying. He used to tell us, "Always be ready, Isa. Always be ready." And so that's just how I am. You know, to try to take, you know, if I could alleviate the burden, you know what I mean, then that's what I'm gonna do, inshallah ta'ala. But
I'll give you to show you example. I was out of the masjid by 2:30.
mm-hmm.
Right? Usually I don't leave the masjid till almost 5 o'clock. Right? Like, because I got to do the after stuff, like you said, right? But the fact that you were there gave me the opportunity to do a lot of things quick. And you saw
Yeah.
when you came out, I was in different clothes and everything.
And we talked for about 10 seconds and then we was both out.
Yeah, I mean, but that gave me, and this was one day I actually came, and what I would have never did it, I came home, I was in the house by 4 o'clock, and I got to sleep and got me some rest, which I would have never had if you didn't do that. And I used it wisely. I came home and I got to sleep. SubhanAllah. That was so. May Allah reward you.
I mean, why? Yeah.
What I would say is stop making the community about the imam, right? The imam is a part of the community. And what do I mean by stop making the community about the imam? The imam is going to die, whoever he is. Kullu nafsin dha'iqatul maut. Everyone's going to die. Sometimes our opposition to the imam, that we don't realize that's the opposition to the community. Because when you don't support the imam, you're not supporting the community because he's the leader of the community. So while you're trying to undermine the imam, what you don't realize is you're undermining the whole institution. I used to be in the union. Well, I'm still in the union. I just haven't done it for so long, right?
I remember.
In the construction, you know. And I was a leader in construction, right? I ran jobs. And we used to have this saying, right? You know, brother Salim, right?
Yeah, that's man.
He was the one who brought me into construction and put me at the top levels of it. And, you know, they used to have this saying in the union, it's not about one man, right? So sometimes you would be on a job, you don't like your foreman, you don't like the shop steward, and people would undermine the shop steward or undermine the foreman. And we would be like, ho, you're undermining our collective activity, right? If you don't respect the person, respect the position.
Exactly.
Because that position is going to be there when that person's gone. And America, in a bad way, understands that concept in a bad way. What do I mean? That's why how can a person be the president and do all this wild stuff that the past president had done? Because they're not going to destroy their institution for a person, right? That's one of the reasons they allow him to do some of the things that you just shouldn't get away with. But their purpose is we got to maintain the institution, right? And now he's gone and there's someone else in that position. And in their mind, whether we agree or not, the position of the president of the United States represents America. So therefore, they're going to protect it, even if they don't like what's in there, right? Now, hopefully we don't have no immoral person. And that's in our deen. That's why we don't easily rebel against rulers, right? Because it's going to destroy the institution, not just the individual. So if you want to support the imam, support the institution of the community, support the masjid, and be patient, and hopefully you have a good imam, right? That an imam is doing good work, is producing. Because I say this, I know I done made a lot of people mad as the imam, but no one who knows me, not one person, will say that I didn't develop with the help of the community to make Masjid Muhammad in a better position. No one would say that, right? If they be honest and say, I don't like some of the things he do. I might like some of the way he run things. But we have built upon what was left for us, right? We've built upon it and we continue to build and we continue to build. Education in all aspects, community, we're involved. That's not for me. I'm going to die. But the next group who comes, because the masjid doesn't belong to people, right? It's an institution. When the next group of the community, the next generation is going to succeed us, they won't be in the position that we were, right? When I became the imam, I had a money issue. First day on my lap was a money issue. Day one, money issue. If I died right now, the next leader is not going to have a money issue. That's not going to be his problem. He's still got to get money. He got to work. But he doesn't have to worry about how he's going to survive. The masjid is not going to close tomorrow, right? He's going to be in a financial position to do things. When I became the imam, we didn't own the masjid. We had a big mortgage waiting. Now we own the masjid. He doesn't have to worry about that, right? He has connections. So a lot of the things we just got to build from generation to generation. It's about the institution. Because when the Imam Qari, rahimahullah, he died, right? He didn't take anything from the masjid.
That's Elijah.
Wait a minute, how does that go?
How
you do the dap? I'm getting old. I forgot how you do the dap.
He said do the dab.
But I watched Imam Mikhail. We just buried him, who was Imam before Imam Qari, right? All of them had different struggles that we don't have today, right?
Yeah.
And now our job is to leave an institution, the masjid, in a position that whoever comes after us, they don't have the same problems we had. Each generation should make it better for the other. So as a community, I think if we forget about the imam, right? We want an imam to be there for us all the time, right? Pay him. Establish a salary for the imam. Establish a secretary for the imam. Establish a maintenance crew. All that stuff costs money, right? Imagine if you had what our masjids would look if you had, say, 1 or 2 or 3 maintenance people that's full-time, they're paid to do maintenance. What if you had a full-time imam? That's all he has to do. His job is to serve the community. He does that without the pay, right? Mm-hmm. What if he had a secretary? What if the community is now have enough money to do business? I don't remember yesterday, the mayor said something, and I'm getting ready to go see him about this issue. That's a whole nother discussion. I won't put it out. He said something yesterday, and my eyes went like, man, I need to get you talking more. Right? He said, I don't know how many of you watched yesterday. The mayor said something, and I know this group because I'm in it. I'm like, for Atlantic City, you know, I'm like the imam of Atlantic City, right?
Yeah. That's what they call you.
And unfortunately, I'm the only in Atlantic City African-American imam left. We lost all of the masjids. They're all gone, and I'm the only one left. And even maybe some of our other brothers may have masjids in the house, but I'm the only one left. And alhamdulillah, we're vocal, so we can move out being wiped out altogether. But he said something about the fellowship of churches. What are the fellowship of churches? Is a group of churches, right? And they got a leader from one church, different churches, and they work together. Mm-hmm. The city gave them, and I heard it yesterday, and the mayor, I'm going to see him about it. So if you're listening, Mayor Small, I'm coming to you. The city gave the fellowship of churches 10 vacant lots to build on. He gave them, that's not one church, that's a group of churches, right? And their leadership differs. It's not the same or pastor that's the leader. It changes, right? And I work with them, so I know them well, right? The president of, or the leader of the fellowship of the church, his church is right around the corner from the masjid. So we work together. But what did they do? They build their community through supporting leadership, right? And I think that's something we need to consider. And they're able to be an effective force because they empower their leadership, right? And so shout out to Pastor Hargrove, and you're doing a wonderful job in your position of leadership, and you're taking your community to a whole nother level. So I got to give you that shout out. Are you finished? Let's see the next questions. That was a long one for me, but that's how you do it.
Yeah, that was a good one, man. And just know that every portion that you can give is very important. You know what I mean? So if everybody had that mentality, well, let me donate $5 to the position of the imam doing this and doing that. You know, you might have a good amount of people, whereas the imam doesn't have to. It can free up some of his time, and he can also pass that money out and disperse it to other individuals who can actually lend a hand at the masjid too. So if you can't do it physically, Imam Radi used to tell us this: if you can't do it physically, pay for somebody else to do it. That's a good mentality.
That's a question. How do you build the trust among believers who don't want to be a part, who don't want to part with a few dollars or volunteer a little time?
For me, you know what? One of the biggest reminders is always going to be, listen, I tell when I give one thing I say is like if we have a circumstance in which somebody is in need, I tend to put it out there as an opportunity. So on Yom Qiyam, you can't go before Allah Ta'ala and claim that Allah never gave you opportunity. So there's plenty of opportunity out there for you to be earning Allah's rahmah and to maybe get some of your sins forgiven, you know, follow up that bad deed with a good deed, you know, all these positive things. So if you look at it as an opportunity as opposed to a burden on you, then I think your mindset changes and you'll begin to view what you have in your right in front of you as actually possible keys to the rahmah of Allah. You know, it reminds me of that story of the man who would become rich at times and poor at times. And his family would visit him when he had wealth and he would give to them freely. And when he didn't have any money, they didn't come visit him. He was broke at that time. So, and his wife said to him one day, she said, you know, don't you see what's going on here? When you got money, everybody comes around. When you ain't got no money and nobody come visit you. And he said, yes. Now look at the difference in perspective. His perspective was, he said, yes, they honor me because they know I love to give to them. So when I have money, they come and visit me and I give to them abundantly. And they know and they protect me because they know it hurts me when I can't give to them. So they don't come visit me. So it's all about your perspective, how you're going to view people, how you're going to view circumstances and situations. If you have a negative viewpoint on things, I'll put it to you this way. I'll give you an example. In Masjid An-Nur, if our pioneers had a negative viewpoint or perspective of where their money and their support went in the community, our community would have fell a long time ago. Everybody knows, everybody will clearly tell you our pioneers, majority of female, have taken care of these communities. It is what it is. Brothers, we are pathetic. It is what it is. You know, not all of us, but you know, when it comes to it comes to, you know, we are pathetic, but you got to be real with yourself. We are, you know, so and the same thing goes in our relationships. But you know, that right there to me is the key, is the education. Go ahead, man. Oh, you're muted, Imam.
We got a few more questions. We're past the time, but we'll take a few more of the questions. Okay. We got to bring you back. You said I told you was. See how fast this went. So I need you gonna give us something nice before we close out.
No, Al-Fatiha, please. Come on.
You could do it.
No, she's it. You see? Yeah, I'm gonna cut the camera off. Ready?
Or you can do a nice nasheed for us.
Not a nasheed.
What you got?
Nasheed.
You don't have a nasheed for us?
No.
No, nothing. She's gonna do some Quran for us, inshallah.
Okay, a little something.
You
Make everyone happy.
Okay, I'm gonna cut the camera off. She's shy.
Okay, go ahead.
Al-Fatiha to close us out.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم عليهم ولا الضالين.
Ameen.
Barakallahu fiki, may Allah reward you. We want to remind you this weekend, this Sunday, if we can get the flyer up for the Sierra conference this Sunday I think it's from 1 to, what time is it? From 1 to
3 to
1 to 5. 1 to 5.
okay.
So this is we starting to have these conferences that we wanted to bring to each other community, but still in the pandemic, we're not able to meet. So we're doing our first Prophetic Sierra conference online this Sunday, February the 21st, from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern, which is going to discuss different aspects of the life and the Shama'il of the Prophet, salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi. Among the speakers for this first session is the Imam of Kuba School and Islamic Center, Imam of the Boom Boom Bap, Imam Fahim Lee, and the Imam from Pittsburgh, Masjid Mu'min, Imam Naeem Abdullah, my fellow panelist and host of the Black Imams Roundtable. Also, Sheikh Abdul Karim Yahya from Darul Rahma in Detroit, Michigan. Our Imam from Philadelphia, Imam Malik Robinson, and our teacher and Sheikh Walid Al-Rifai. He will be with us as well. So inshallah, spread the flyer. It is on our page at Masjid Muhammad of Atlantic City, Pittsburgh. Yeah, you know Abu Muwadda, I had to put it there. Not Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh.
So inshallah, we're going to be making a lot of moves, and one of the things that I want to remind you, and I'm gonna put it out there, and I'm trying to arrange our brother Imam Luqman Ahmed, even though he's not on the Black Round Table anymore, he is still a brother whom we love and we have close relationship with. Mm-hmm. He is very sick. He's having some issues with his legs, and he's an older man, and he has to have a surgery that his insurance will not cover. So inshallah, I would like to do a small fundraiser for him. I'm working out the details with him, now, so that even, we need to support him, because, as an imam, they don't get paid. Not in the African American community. Very few imams are paid, and he's one of those imams who is not paid fully, and so he has insurance, but sometimes things happen, and insurance doesn't cover those, the medical procedures he needs. So inshallah, we're going to try to arrange with him. But those of you know him, please, contact him and go to his Facebook page and try to support him and help him, and we're going to do what we can do from our side to, make things easy for him. But so what I'm trying to do is maybe get him to put together a Launch Good campaign, so we can just share it, bring him on, have a session with him, and and do what we can do to support, inshallah. May Allah heal him and make him, in a state of afiyah, inshallah. So inshallah, we'll see you tomorrow at the morning class at 6:30 and 6:30 for the Arabic reading. Let me make sure. Hold on one second. I got a message. I hope that didn't change. Allah.
Ameen.
6:30. Okay, so tomorrow we'll have the Arabic reading of Kitab al-Adhkar at 6:30. We'll start, and then the post-Fajr reflection. Also remember, Sunday we start a new book, The Creed of Islam, The Creed of Imam Abu Ja'far al-Tahawi, with a new explanation. The link for it, I'll put it up, inshallah. Where is it at? Do we have the link for that book? I'm sorry to hold you up. I'm computer illiterate, very bad. It's not my stuff. There it is. It's already up. Okay, see, if those who know fast, I'm slow. And so there's the link for the book. We will be starting that book Sunday at the Post-Fajr Reflections. So that will start Sunday. The class starts Sunday at 7 o'clock, the Post-Fajr Reflections. And we'll be going through that book for the next few months, because I'm going to go in a lot of details. So it's not just the book and the commentary, and the commentaries that I've taken with my teachers, and the commentaries in Arabic. There's going to be a lot. It's going to be very intense, because I want to have that as an overall class, that we cover the science of Aqidah very well through that basic text. Inshallah. Barakallahu bikum. May Allah reward you, Sayyid Isa. We're going to have you as a host soon. I know where to fill in the gaps. May Allah reward you. Assalamu alaikum. Please make dua for me. Don't forget me. Barakallahu fikum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.